What's up, y'all? My name is Cordell, aka Hot Cocoa, and today I'm going to show you how to make some zaps, how to make some Pewpews, and how to make some laser beams. But not only that, I'm going to show you how to drum these out so you can touch the Pewpews and the laser beams with your fingers. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, a zap, a pew-pew, a laser beam, whatever you want to call it. Super helpful for stuff like dubstep and drum and bass, but also if you're just making video game noises or you're making sound for media or film, like this is so useful. You can play with it however you want to. So is designed exactly how it sounds. The letters in the word actually underlie the sonic characteristics of a pew. So it starts with a P, which has a really strong transient, a first hit and attack. Any kind of pew or zap or laser beam is going to have a crazy hard attack, usually done with a pitch envelope that we'll see in just a moment. Then you've got your E of the pew, which is the decay. It's how long your pew lasts. So I would say a zap is basically a super quick pew. It's mainly just that transient with a very quick body. A pew, regular medium-sized pew, is going to have a longer medium-ish decay. So it's going to have a pew, E. That's the body of it. A super long laser beam is going to have a really long E, like all the decay on this kind of envelope shape. And then the W in a pew is the release. It's the end. So you could have a with a really long release, or you could have a really quick, short release, and it's over instantly. Zaps have almost no release at all. There's almost no W. It's just that P. Regular pew will have a, proportionally long W or release, pew, and if you want like a laser cannon type thing, super long decay and a super long release. You can have it as long as you want to. The transient is the most important part of a pew. That P is the most crucial ingredient, sonically speaking. This is in contrast to something like a wub. I have an entire video on how to make wubs if you're interested in this kind of thing. And in that case, a wub has a really long attack, that W. A pew is the exact opposite. A laser beam is going to have a crazy fast, strong attack that happens immediately. Let's dive into Ableton so you can actually see how to make this for yourself. Alright, we're going to dive into Serum so that you can learn exactly how to make these pew noises for yourself. I'm doing it in Serum because it's really popular, but honestly you can do this in any type of synthesizer VST plugin. What we're going to do is really fundamental to any sound making oscillator based instrument. So we're going to start off with just a basic shape. This is a sine wave. It's the simplest wave that you can get. And we're going to use an LFO for this. I know I've been saying envelope, and you can do what we're about to do with an envelope if you want to. It'll totally work, but I'm going to show you some cool tips with an LFO that you can't do with an envelope. With this kind of LFO, you can click a node and then wiggle it around, right? So since we want to make a pew or a zap that has a really strong attack, we want to take this top node, slam it all the way over to the left as far as it'll go. And then we're going to bring it up as high as you can go. So that's the highest it'll get, and the furthest left we can get. That's a spicy attack. And what we're going to do is put it directly on the pitch. So we're going to put it on the semitones here. And if you look right here, I've turned on the keyboard function, so I can use my keyboard as key. So I'm just pressing the F button on my keyboard. For now, let's put this on envelopes so that it's easier to manipulate as we're designing. Okay, so as you can hear, it's going from the top of this note all the way down to the bottom. Let's bring the semitones all the way down. And let's add it to the course. Yeah, this is going to give us even more pitch bend. It's already sounding pretty zappy. But that's still really long, so for the sake of a zap, let's click this middle section here. It'll bend the LFO for us and bring it real low. If that's not a zap, then I don't know what is. And of course, you can dial in how zappy you want it by adjusting the parameter here. And continuing to adjust the decay right here. Yeah, so the decay, the body, is what gives it a longer zappy feeling. But if you take the decay pretty much all the way out, you'll just get that transient, just a P and a pew. That's what I would call a zap. And as you bring a little bit of body into this, a little bit of the E after the P, you end up with a pew. If we want to be even more dramatic with this, we can turn our filter on, and we're not really going to use it for filtering, although you can, but I want to use it for this drive. So once you've actually got the pitch envelope or the pitch bend with this LFO, you can just start slapping it on other things to make it more interesting and have more character. So I want to put this onto the drive. Oh, now it's so much punchier, right? It's getting extra attack. Spicy. We can continue to add some character. One thing I like to do is add an EQ. And on this left side here, you can turn the gain up and down for the top end. You know what we're going to do. Slap it on there. Oh my goodness. Now we're getting even more high-end body to it. If you want to, you could even add a little bit of punch somewhere specific. Find the frequency that you want to emphasize. And then, of course, you could even do the same thing with distortion. Wow, you can even add it to the drive, why not? Now, once you start to get something zappy, what I would recommend you do is just start recording everything. So I've got this armed. When I hit play, just hit this record button. And since you're going to be making a lot of changes to the patch, Control-T or Command-T will create a new audio track. You can tell it to listen to your Serum patch and then hold Command, click the arm button so that that's recording as well. So now you can record all your MIDI if you want to go back to it, but you're also recording all your sounds. So as you tinker, you're making sure you're not losing anything cool. That's a zap right there. If you want this to be even longer, you can adjust the rate here. So making the rate longer will give you a longer envelope. And that's how you end up with some laser beam type stuff. If you double click, you can actually add a whole other node. Yeah, that's giving it more of like a sub drop. Oh, there you go. Okay, so I just increased this a little bit. So now we still have this sharp attack, this pitch envelope that's giving you the zap. And now we've got a really long body underneath it. Oh my God, the thickness. If you want to get really crazy with it, you can add in other oscillators as well. And kind of put it on the same thing. So I'm going to put it on the coarse here. I'm going to put it on the semitones. Saw waves are one of my favorites to make zaps with as well. They've got a lot more high-end character. And as a result, you get extra crunchy stuff. Let's put it on the level even, which is effectively the gain. Nice. So there you have it. If you want to zap, make sure that this is really tight, really short. Zaps tend to sound better with just sine waves or simpler waveforms. If you want it to be more of a pew, make it a little bit longer. And if you want it to be a proper laser beam, extend that bad boy out as long as you want. Crunchy. All right, I'm gonna give you one of my favorite extra tips for making these kind of pews. First, let's choose some like randomer wave tables. That's fun. Okay, already super crazy. We barely even got into effects and noise and things like that. This is just a starting point for you to make it your own. But what I love to do is put it on trigger mode here. And what that means is if you hold down a note, it'll continue cycling through this LFO. So let's turn BPM off so that it feels a little more natural. And now if you hold down the note, remember I'm just holding F on my keyboard since I've got keyboard mode activated. If you adjust this rate, you can get some really wacky, like if you want fast kind of like semi-automatic laser beam type deals. Oh my goodness. And you can automate that, put it on some knobs, wiggle it around, do whatever you want. And of course, pressing different notes will give you a different starting pitch, which can lead to even crazier stuff. And of course, changing the wave file or the original signal that you're processing is going to give you a totally different character to the Zap and the Pewpew. This is a really good example of the W here that I was talking about earlier. So we've got our strong attack here, the P. This right here is the E of our Pew, and then down here is the W. And listen to the very tail end of this, how you can really hear that W sound. See, it's like pew, pew. That's a pew, baby. If you take those ingredients, those elements, and mix them around, add some character, add extra layers, you can turn it into anything you want. Obviously, we want reverb on it. Phaser always works well with the Pewpew laser beam. There you have it. Okay, so now that you've recorded a whole bunch of Pewpews, what you can do is drop them in a drum rack. Who knew I was going to do that? Welcome to the channel, y'all. We're going to drum out these pews. Create a MIDI track. Get yourself a drum rack. And let's say I like this pew. That's pretty fun. I'm just going to isolate it, highlight it, hit Command E. I'm going to highlight the drum rack first so I can see it, and then just drag it in there. Blam! Easy as that. Now when I click on this, it's already in one-shot mode. Love it. You can go through and do that with as many of these as you want to. I like this one. So let's highlight it, Command E, click on the drum rack track, drag it on in there. Easy peasy. So what I've done is I have a sample pack that I've made of a bunch of Zaps like this, and I already made a whole drum rack. Look at that. Just completely full of different pews. I layered that with one that has drums, and then another layer that just has basses. And it sounds a little bit like this. If you thought that was cool, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button, of course. And you can actually get this drum rack that I just played, plus an entire sample pack full of pews and zaps and laser beams that I've already made if you join my Patreon. The link is down below, and you can just frolic amongst all the pew-pews that I've got. Hit me in the comments if you have some of your own techniques that you love to use for making lasers and pew-pews, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.